Welcome back in. Dan Spindle here, downtown Tucson, just outside St. Augustine Cathedral, where later this morning there will be a funeral mass to remember the late Congressman Raúl Grijalva. We are thinking about him and telling you all about his life and his legacy today here in southern Arizona and across the country. Really, when you think about his time in Congress, his time at the county level, he focused a lot on the environment. He focused on mitigating the effects of climate change, and those were the policies that he wanted to push forward. Now, there was a group that actually worked closely with him. It was called the Coalition for Sonoran Desert Preservation. Carolyn Campbell actually met him back in the 1990s. Here's what she had to say about his work in this arena.
And the administration, this is the county administration, and the environmental community had two different visions of how to move forward. And so working with Mr. Grijalva, I mean, it wouldn't be the plan it was today, which is award-winning all over.
And just to give you an idea, I looked at various bills that he worked on over the years, and we talk about the sheer number. I can't give you an exact number of how many hundreds of bills Raúl Grijalva put forward in the halls of Congress. However, if you do break down by the statistics, more than a third of those bills, the things he held dear, the things he tried to push forward, they were public lands, natural resources, and the environment. Again, 1 in 3. Were all geared towards that. And so it was not hard to know the priorities that Raúl Grijalva held dear here in southern Arizona. Again, someone born south of Tucson, representing this area, representing various tribal nations within Congressional District 7. He felt a stewardship to this land and this people, and he wanted to move those policies and progressive ideas forward. Again, a strong Democratic ally there in the halls of Congress. And that's why we will see various members of congressional delegations here. Former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi will be here. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be here. She was here just days ago, along with Senator Bernie Sanders. When you talk about these strong liberal progressives in Washington, D.C., who would like to pay their last respects to Raúl Grijalva here behind me. We'll talk about that, talk about the celebration of life and getting around this area in downtown Tucson. That's coming up right here throughout the morning, live on Good Morning Tucson.
Connecting communities through your stories that inspire us. It's Good Morning Tucson.
This community is very indebted to him.
I think what I remember the most is that he's just really a genuine, humble person.
This is not the end of his journey, but only the beginning of his journey.
His unflinching commitment to justice would be the thing that I will personally take as an inspiration for the rest of my life.
We were very unique, very different, yet I think what we did share was a common interest and value in having conversations with people that you don't agree with.
And he inspired so many of us to embrace the fire within us.
He was a champion for all of us, and we're all feeling a great loss.
In the course of my career, I've gotten my hands dirty working on the problems of this community.
This morning, Tucson, southern Arizona, and the nation as a whole mourns the loss of Congressman Raúl Grijalva, the man who served our community, served southern Arizona, and represented so many, giving so many a voice over the course of decades. Not just 20 years in the halls of Congress, but in various capacities, again, back when he was in his 20s, he began that journey. I'm Dan Spindle out here live outside St. Augustine Cathedral. Later on this morning at 10 o'clock, there will be a funeral mass, but that is just the beginning of what is a celebration of his life. We have team coverage here on GMT. We're going to be talking about traffic issues, road closures with Bree Pacelli of getting in and around downtown Tucson. If you plan on coming down here, Blake Phillips is talking about that celebration of life just down the road here, a few blocks away at El Casino Ballroom. And Claire Graham is back in the studio at KGUN 9. Let's get into it. We love sharing his life and legacy, talking about what the congressman meant to so many people. You heard many voices from different sides of the political aisle and from all walks of life on what he meant Raúl Grijalva, again, getting an early start in life to public service. 5 decades plus representing the people here of southern Arizona. Now, let's talk about the logistics of the service itself. We're going to have dignitaries here from the national level. Former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi will be here. Governor Hobbs will be here. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be here, among many, many others. And we mean representatives of the tribal nations. There were a handful represented within Congressional District 7 itself, Tohono O'odham, Pascua Yaqui, and others. They will be here. His family and friends will be here. Again, this is a public event. It is open to the public. However, a space will be limited when you consider so many people who will be here. And again, kind of the iffy way of getting around when you consider sitting congressional delegations. Let's talk about what the congressman did in his life. Born near Amado, south of Green Valley, to a migrant worker family. That was those humble roots that you heard mentioned there that Raúl Grijalva always held close, and he always felt he wanted to represent the people, the working people here of southern Arizona. In his 20s, 26 years old, gets on the Tucson school board and then moves his way to the county level, County Board of Supervisors. But get this, folks, he had a school named after him in the 80s, nearly 40 years ago. So this is someone whose legacy, again, he really needs no introduction when you think about it. But I want to tell you on the national level what he means to progressive politicians moving forward into the future. Here's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, what the representative from New York said about him in just recent days.
I hope we all come together and ensure that we carry on Raúl's vision and his commitment and legacy.
When you think of AOC, again, that's an acronym for her name. She has a brand nationally. Raúl Grijalva perhaps was not known to those in other states, but again, a giant of a politician for the Democratic Party, especially from here in southern Arizona. Let's talk about the celebration of life, kind of that celebratory feel that will be at the El Casino Ballroom, where we find Blake Phillips this morning. Blake, what do we know about that event?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Congressman Grijalva not being super familiar across the country, but right here, where he grew up, where he came for balls and dances at the El Casino Ballroom. He had his 50th wedding anniversary here with his wife. This place is really just as much ingrained in the community as Congressman Grijalva's legacy. Now, what we know is that the celebration today is from 2 to 6, and like you said, Dan, going to be a lot easier to get down here. Still probably going to be pretty crowded, but it is completely general admission. We do know the mayor of Tucson, Regina Romero, is going to be speaking here. Some other speakers are going to be here as well. We expect the family to be here around 1 or so. So this is really where everybody can come together without the hustle and bustle of downtown Tucson, the hustle and bustle of security, and it'll be much more relaxed of an environment. But I talked to Fred Martinez. He actually, him and his employees opened it up for us to get in here to get a look this morning. If you're from South Tucson, you know exactly about the El Casino Ballroom. If you're from the area, you've heard of it. It is very much just as big of a venue here in the community as Congressman Grijalva meant to it as well. So we know that he left behind plans to cater some of his favorite foods from local restaurants for later today. Like I said, the family going to be coming down here as well after the services this morning. But we're going to be on the ground down here and up in downtown Tucson all day long, bringing you the latest and really trying to celebrate the life of Congressman Raúl Grijalva. Dan.
Yeah, and it is quite the life. So many facets to remember, and so many people who would like to pay that last respect. And again, celebrate. Blake Phillips reporting there. Let's talk about getting in and around downtown Tucson with Bree Pacelli, who's talking about some of the road closures, some of those issues where perhaps, again, it is a public event, the funeral mass. If you'd like to come down, just you have to be aware of what it's going to take, Bree.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, there's a lot to expect this morning as the funeral gets underway. So let's talk about road closures. We are seeing a couple road closures here. Right now, I am standing on Stone Avenue and McCormick. So Stone Avenue and Church Avenue, they will be closed today, starting from, again, where I'm standing right here, McCormick Street, all the way to Ochoa Avenue, or Ochoa Street, excuse me. So keep that in mind if you are traveling downtown today. And just like Dan said, this is a public event. So as far as parking goes, you can park at the TCC or La Placita Garage. So those are a couple options for you, but also keep in mind that downtown is typically a pretty congested area as far as traffic goes. Now, the roads aren't closed right now. The roads will close at 8 a.m. today and will be closed for several hours until 1 o'clock. So again, keep that in mind. We're going to see hundreds of people downtown today. So if you are heading downtown to go to work or wherever you are going this morning, again, keep these road closures in mind. But again, the roads aren't closed right now. We've seen several cars driving through the area this morning. Let's bring in Athena Kehoe. Athena, roads are looking pretty clear right now. We're not seeing a lot of buildup or congestion at this time, but how are things looking across the rest of town?
Thanks, Bree. Yeah, across the rest of town, it is pretty slow morning right now, which, you know, you can't complain about. It's just about 6 a.m. So always good to see that there's not a ton of congestion yet. However, our neighborhood traffic network is showing us that there is a water line repair on Speedway. So if you do take Speedway regularly during your commute between Dodge and Alvernon Way, expect a few lane restrictions. But the city of Tucson said that this water line repair will be done today. So it's just supposed to be today with these lane restrictions there. But again, across Tucson, we are not seeing much congestion. Usually we do see a lot near like downtown Congress and Golf Links, but it is looking pretty clear right now. And your morning drive time, Speedway and Kolb to I-10 is about 14 minutes. Grant and Craycroft to I-10 is about 13. And we will look at your ADOT camera live on I-10 near 22nd Street. And it's looking good right now. And you know, this day is supposed to be looking pretty hot, April, right? So anyone driving or walking to the funeral should definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah, even if they find a close place to park, you're just going to be standing out a lot. You know, it's limited. And so that's why we just stress so much. I mean, look, you can just look at downtown and I don't even have to tell you. I mean, you got a lot of buildings, right? So you got a lot of concrete, you got a lot of pavement, and that obviously magnifies the heat. So if you're standing in that for periods of time, it can feel as much as 10 to 20 degrees hotter, and we're already going to be in the low 90s. So please stay hydrated, find ways to get into the shade, and just keep yourself cool. We've dropped to 68 right now, but again, that's all going to be kicking off right around 10 a.m. So those peak heat hours of the day between about 10 and 5 is when we're going to be the hottest. So just make sure that you're doing that right there, because we are going to continue to see temperatures well above average, 80s and low 90s. So that right there, those tips for staying safe. I know Dan and Blake are out there this morning, and it's still nice and cool, but I think you'll be seeing some more layers shedding as we get later into the morning. Hopefully they are drinking a lot of water, also staying cool, finding ways to have a little bit of shade. And we got a little bit of cloud cover out there, Dan, so we can hope that that will give us a little bit of a break here and there as the sun is coming up, but we don't anticipate it to be thick enough to keep those temperatures down. So definitely drinking a lot of water, staying safe, and I hope that you're doing the same thing, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is it's just a gorgeous morning right now, nice and cool. And again, as you said, it'll heat up quickly. The funeral mass starting at 10 o'clock here behind me at St. Augustine. But you will have so many people down here. The parking situation might require you to walk if you're coming down to the cathedral itself. So we are going to continue to talk a lot more about Raúl Grijalva, his life and legacy, someone who represented Southern Arizona for so many years, so many terms in Congress, but again, before that, starting in his 20s, representing people on the different levels of the county, the school board, and again, so friends and family and dignitaries will all be here from all walks of life, all across the political spectrum as well, to pay respects to this longtime sitting member of Congress. And we'll have a lot more of that, Claire. I know as a young reporter, I interviewed Raúl Grijalva some, probably 16, 17 years ago. He came across as someone who was serious about the policies that he wanted to get through. Again, someone who took his role in his job quite seriously, but was a straight shooter. You knew what you got when you spoke with Raúl Grijalva.
Very true. It was never a guessing game where he stood on any of the issues that he was passionate about. Dan, thank you so much. Let's look at some of your other headlines today as well. Now, with his funeral set to start in a few hours, loved ones have already started honoring the late congressman and his memory with the first of the services at another church across town. St. John the Evangelist Catholic Church held Grijalva's Rosary Prayer Service last night. It's a Catholic tradition to hold it on the night before a funeral mass. Grijalva and his family have been parishioners at the church for more than 50 years. Monsignor Raúl Grijalva has been the pastor there for more than 30 years and met Grijalva in 1972 while studying at the U of A. He then became his pastor as the congressman was raising his family just a few blocks away. Monsignor Treviso says our community is indebted to Grijalva for his 50-plus years of service.
I really don't have the words to describe the commitment he had to the work he was doing, trying to ensure that this community had what it needed.
Treviso says while the community is sad about the loss of Raúl Grijalva, everyone should take comfort in knowing how much he has done for them. Grijalva's funeral mass again starts at 10 o'clock this morning, and you can watch the live stream of the service and our continuing special coverage right here on KGUN 9. When we come back this morning, we have more news and weather in your neighborhood, so stay with us. You're watching Good Morning Tucson.
First Warning Weather is sponsored by Parker & Sons.
And now, KGUN 9 First Warning Weather.
Let's go check on our forecast with April Madison now. April, we don't just, break records, we smash them.
Yeah, we're like, listen, if we're going to do this, we're going to go big or go home. And that's exactly what we did yesterday. Well, about a week ago, we knew this was coming, and we were like, are we going to get close to that? We might tie it. No, we just went ahead and blew it out of the water. We not only hit our first 90 degree of the year on Monday, but we hit both our first 95 and 96 yesterday. Thankfully, we're not going to keep going that direction and hitting our first 100. Hopefully not anytime soon. That was as close as it came. We will start going back down like this. And I think that we're all okay with that because we know those triple digits are coming soon enough. But yeah, that was a 129-year-old record we broke yesterday, putting 2025 on the record books. A little more mild as you step out this morning. You'll notice it because of that right there. Yeah, a little cloud cover. Obviously a pretty weak system, not packing a lot of moisture. Most of that is moving into New Mexico and just kind of hugging the international and Arizona, New Mexico border there with any little bit of moisture that's out there. But it has kept temps a little bit warmer. We started right around 73 literally just about a half hour ago. We've had enough break in that clouds that it's allowing temperatures to go down, but we sometimes call it that heat island effect when you add pavement, you add concrete, buildings, that sort of thing. So I warn you that today, although slightly cooler, still hot enough that it could cause some heat related risks, especially for the small children and the elderly, or if you're standing outside for any period of time downtown. And we know there are going to be a lot of folks for the Mass and the celebration of life. So please heed the warnings because it is feeling much hotter even now than it actually is. And it's certainly going to when we get to those peak heat hours of the day. 40s and 50s still in Cochise County, 60s and upper 60s. So we are again as much as 10 to 20 degrees warmer right now than we were this time yesterday. And if you're standing downtown, it's feeling a lot warmer. You've got that heat from the concrete and the pavement coming up, and that is going to make this feel a lot hotter. I'm sure Kyler will be showing some of that later today, that heat index compared to the actual temperature. The good news is we are starting to go down. Our high is going to weaken enough to allow that system to start inching closer Friday and Saturday. That'll do two things for us. Unfortunately, it's going to elevate our winds, and because we're so dry, that is going to bring on some fire concerns, but it will at least bring our temperatures back down a little bit more. I don't think we'll get the 70s back, but we'll at least see some low 80s for the weekend, but you'll see 70s in Sierra Vista.
April, thank you. This morning, the U of A has officially installed University President Suresh Garamella. Even though he's been on the job since October, they held a big ceremony addressing the challenges he's faced, like the protests we saw yesterday, and having to change DEI programs to avoid getting punished by the White House. But speaking at Centennial Hall, Garamella didn't mention any of that or the financial crisis he helped dig the school out of. Instead, he talked about how the U of A can bring progress to Arizona and the world.
We will build on our greatest strengths and double down in areas that include advancing space science and national security, provisioning abundant energy and water through the commercialization of fusion energy, exploiting artificial intelligence and data science to enhance healthcare and biomedicine, and modernizing mining to provide sustainable access to critical minerals.
Faculty Senate Chair Layla Hudson says the faculty will work to support Garamella, but she also talked about trust. She says the faculty will let Garamella know if he falls short. Governor Katie Hobbs is pushing forward with her initiative to address the child care challenges across the state. She made a stop in Tucson on the west side at the United Way of Tucson in southern Arizona. Her Bright Futures Arizona initiative is aiming to make child care more affordable and accessible for working families to ultimately allow for more economic stability. As many as 1 in 4 kids in Arizona can't get into the child care they need, and overall the costs are significantly higher than the recommended 7% of a family's income.
I've presented a plan to the legislature that will cut the cost of childcare up to 2/3 for so many families across the state.
The Bright Futures Arizona initiative also plans to create a parent-focused web tool to help families find available childcare. This morning, Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays is cracking down on companies selling THC when they're not supposed to. She's giving unlicensed stores a month to get THC off of their shelves because they're breaking state law. Moasani's D2 marijuana dispensaries are fully licensed with the state, and their products are strictly regulated. He says he is all for Mays' order.
We're required to test for safety, potency, outside contaminants, and I don't think that's happening on the other side either.
Mays has not given specifics of what punishment or enforcement will look like for anyone violating the order, but she has said stores need to act now to avoid penalties later. Still to come this morning, we're heading back downtown where preparations are underway for the late Congressman Raúl Grijalva's funeral. The lasting legacy he's leaving on local schools that he spent more than a decade overseeing when we come back.
Here once again live outside the Mother Church of the Tucson Diocese, the St. Augustine Cathedral, where later on this morning at 10 a.m. Congressman Raúl Grijalva will have his funeral mass, and later on today, of course, he will be laid to rest. I'm Dan Spindle for Good Morning Tucson. We've been talking a lot about the congressman's time in the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C., what his life was leading up to that. Let's talk about his origins. Born south of Green Valley, he graduated from Sunnyside High School from the University of Arizona. And what were you all doing when you were in your 20s? He was 26 years old when he ran for and won a spot on the school board with TUSD. Again, bringing that desire to represent the people of Southern Arizona to that body. Here is what Gabriel Trujillo, the superintendent of TUSD, had to say about his lasting legacy in that realm of education.
In 1977, he voted to establish Howenstein as the first solar-powered high school in Arizona. It had a solar-heated pool. It had solar-powered lighting, which at the time was innovative. So his vision of environmental protection and conservation, it's not new.
But it certainly was something that he held dear through his entire time representing the people within the school board and then the county, on the County Board of Supervisors, and then again to the halls of Congress since the early 2000s. Raúl Grijalva is someone who, again, you did not have to wonder where he stood on so many issues because he put those front and center representing the working people of Southern Arizona. And both sides of the aisle can recognize that he was a Democratic stalwart, someone who believed what he said and was a straight shooter. We have a lot more to talk about when it comes to the late congressman, his family, the dignitaries who will be here at the cathedral later on today, right here live, coming up on Good Morning Tucson.
6:26 this morning. Let's go to April Madison for your neighborhood forecast. Where are you taking us?
I am going to take you up north. A lot of things happening over the weekend, and this is just one of many. It's up in the La Encantada area. So Campbell and Skyline, yeah, the Fine Art Festival, the annual festival is happening. Boy, they picked a good weekend for it. At least they waited for it to cool off a bit. Going to be a little gusty on Saturday, so if you want to enjoy equally nice temperatures with not as much wind, maybe go on Sunday. But all kinds of fine arts, crafts, and man, temperature wise, you can't beat it to get out there and support local.
That sounds great, April. Thank you. Staying in the foothills, the DeGrazia Gallery in the Sun is highlighting the first female photographer to get a Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association card. KGUN 9's Foothills reporter Andrew Christensen is at Swan and Skyline with a closer look at her photos.
Well, the executive director of the DeGrazia Gallery in the Sun tells me that Louise Serpa was used to taking pictures of cowboys, but she also took pictures of Ted DeGrazia, the founder. And you can even see things like her camera right over here. But I do want to show you the portraits that she took. So there's over 50 pictures, and they've been up since January. And you can see her pictures of DeGrazia while he was sculpting. And she also took pictures of the gallery. And I talked to Lance Laber. He's the DeGrazia Foundation's executive director. And after they sold some of her pictures, he tells me these pictures were left over, so they kept them in their archives.
Louise was used to photographing cowboys, and DeGrazia certainly fit that mold.
And I think it was easy for her, and he was so photogenic.
Labor tells me they do have other pictures of DeGrazia in the gallery. Every year, he says, they usually have 3 rotating galleries, and they change them out about every 6 months. And if you want to see the portraits for yourself, you can do that until September. Reporting on Skyline and Swan, I'm your Foothills reporter for KGUN 9, Andrew Christensen.
Still ahead this morning, our team coverage continues as our community lays the late Congressman Raúl Grijalva to rest. His impact on southern Arizona when we come back.
Good morning, everybody. Here on Good Morning Tucson, of course, we are remembering the life and the legacy of the late Congressman Raúl Grijalva, along with so many others on the national level, the state level. So many will be here in downtown Tucson today. I'm outside the St. Augustine Cathedral, where at 10 o'clock the funeral mass will begin. There is so much to get to. We have team coverage right here. Our team's covering every angle of what you need to know at home. Getting around could be a challenge. Bree Pacelli is talking about traffic issues and road closures. Blake Phillips is down at the El Casino Ballroom, where there will be a celebration of life. Claire Graham back in studio at KGUN 9. But let's kind of set the stage for what will be happening later on this morning. When you talk about sitting members of Congress or the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, there will be details here. I've seen some law enforcement already here on this block. So as we progress throughout the morning, you can bet it will be very busy, a hub of activity here. Members of the 22 tribal nations will be here. From the state, the governor, Hobbs, will be here. And there are so many others. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was here recently with Bernie Sanders, again, in a rally setting. They will be here. The Congresswoman will be here. Senator Sanders was here. But again, there is so much going on. Hundreds could make their way into the cathedral here, but again, with so many of those seats already taken, we can't guarantee that the 1,300 capacity will be many members of the general public, although it is open to the public. The family, the friends, the dignitaries, and those representatives, they all come first when it comes to seating inside. I mentioned Senator Sanders from Vermont. Perhaps one of the most notable people of the Democratic Party of the last several decades. Raúl Grijalva on the House side was a strong advocate for Senator Sanders, even back before many were jumping on to feel the burn, as they called it, with his original run for the White House. Listen.
He had the guts to come out and endorse me and take on the whole Democratic establishment. So we will never forget Raúl Grijalva and his dedication to the working families of our country.
Now, oftentimes you talk about term limits. There were 12 races that Raúl Grijalva won to be in the halls of Congress on the side of the House of Representatives. I looked up the average time for those who were just sworn in January. 8 to 9 years was the average amount of time spent in Congress. Raúl Grijalva served for more than 20 years. And again, when you think about the House of Representatives, every couple of years you have the chance to vote somebody out and make a change. The people of Southern Arizona did not want to make a change here in CD7. They continue to send Raúl Grijalva back to represent them. Let's talk about some of those folks who will be celebrating his life. Blake Phillips, they will be there at the El Casino Ballroom. What's that going to be like, kind of in contrast to the funeral mass, a more somber setting down here downtown?
Well, they're calling it a celebration of life, right? You just talked about, Congressman Grijalva had a long political career, I mean, by every standard, but at the same time, he is a huge presence in the community here in Southern Arizona. I mean, no matter where you go, especially in South Tucson, you know somebody who at least knew Congressman Grijalva, whether they went to Sunnyside with him or whatever it may be. But so the El Casino Ballroom is very similar in that way, right? It's very much ingrained in the community. Everybody comes here. Congressman Grijalva told KGUN 9 earlier this week, or excuse me, Fred Martinez told us that Congressman Grijalva had spent his 50th wedding anniversary here at the ballroom. He'd come here, grown up, done laps on the floor, is how Fred put it. And that's something that a lot of people here in Tucson and Southern Arizona can relate to. And that's really what made the congressman that well known throughout the area, is that he was just such a people person, right? So as far as the celebration of life goes today, like you said, Dan, a little bit more passionate and happy here, honoring who he was as a person. And it's from 2 to 6. There's going to be catered food here that Congressman Grijalva had kind of set set up for his favorite local restaurants to kind of come out here and everybody share a taste in that. We do expect the family here later today, some speakers as well, including Tucson Mayor Regina Romero. Not the same slate of speakers that we're going to see at the cathedral, no doubt about that. Probably some more local representatives there as well. But, you know, we're talking about the celebration of life. That's really what we're going to see here today. It's going to be, Dan, a really passionate and happy vibe here in South Tucson.
Well, and you got to love that he knew that the end was approaching and wanted everybody to experience what he loved as far as the food goes. Everything about the congressman, from the bolo tie to the way he presented himself, just represented Southern Arizona. Let's talk about all of those who may want to make their way down here to downtown to participate in some of these events. Bree Pacelli will discuss the road closures. Bree, perhaps if you're not going to be going and participating, you want to avoid this area.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, a couple of things to keep in mind as far as traffic goes this morning here downtown. We are going to see 2 road closures. We are standing on the corner of Stone Avenue and McCormick right now. So Stone Avenue and Church Avenue will be closed from, again, where we're standing right here, McCormick Street, all the way to Ochoa this morning. So keep that in mind if you are going downtown this morning for work or wherever you will be going again this morning. Like Dan mentioned, this is a public event. So if you are coming, there are a couple of different places for you to park. You can either park at the TCC or La Placita Garage. So a couple different options for you. But again, keep in mind, downtown is one of the more congested areas as far as traffic goes. Now, the streets aren't closed off quite yet. We've actually seen some more cars coming through this morning. The roads will be closed starting at 8 a.m. this morning all the way until 1 o'clock today. So for several hours, keep that in mind. Now, we've been seeing, like I said, a few cars coming through this morning. There's not a lot of congestion, not a lot of buildup, but let's bring in Athena Kehoe. Athena, again, we're not seeing a whole lot right now. As the sun is coming up, we are seeing more people on the road, but how are things looking across the rest of town?
Across the rest of town, it is not looking too bad just yet, you know, and that's what we like to see this morning. So if you are heading out the door soon, just your typical congestion around Golf Links over there. But this is a live look at I-10. If you are on Park Avenue, if you're getting off near 4th, 6th Avenue, you can see not even that many cars are on the road right now. So that's also very great news. However, if you take Speedway Boulevard, typically there is a water line repair. So there are a few lane restrictions between Dodge Boulevard and Alvarado Way. And also we are seeing a disabled vehicle on I-10 if you're heading eastbound near Craycroft Road. ADOT reported this, but you know, it doesn't show like it's causing any backup right now, but just make sure you do keep that in mind if you are traveling on I-10 over there. And your morning drive times are also still looking pretty good. Speedway and Kolb to I-10 is just about 16 minutes. And you know, today is also going to be a pretty hot day. So anyone driving or walking to that funeral probably should keep that in mind, April.
You got it right, because not only is it going to be hot, but anytime you're surrounded by pavement, buildings, all the above when it comes to downtown, it will make it feel a lot hotter. And we haven't cooled as much as we typically would just because of a little bit of cloud cover that has moved into the area. So that makes it for a very pleasant start to the day. Yeah, we've got 60s out there and some 50s, so it's going to be very pleasant, but that just means it will also heat up much quicker. Hopefully these clouds will stick around and give us a little bit of relief, maybe 1 or 2 degrees as they pass by, but staying hydrated means getting it done now. Drink that water now. Make sure that you're well hydrated before you're heading out, especially if you're going to be doing any sort of standing in the downtown area where it's going to feel even hotter. We will still make it to those low 90s. So sunscreen, maybe an umbrella for shade, anything you can do to stay cool during the peak heat hours. Because look, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the peak heat hours. 10 a.m. is when the mass begins, and then the celebration of life is 2 to 6. And so it is still going to be hot enough to warrant just kind of those heat-related illnesses that can happen so quickly. Trying to avoid that by finding ways to stay cool and stay hydrated. Dan's been out there all morning, obviously enjoying a little bit cooler time of day, thankfully, but any amount of time you're going to start seeing more and more layers of shedding, and hopefully you got plenty of water out there, Dan.
Yeah, you couldn't have dialed up a better day, April, for folks to make their way down here. It is just picture perfect out right now. But again, a great warning for those who are going to be out here throughout the hours of the day, because this is a long day here 10 a.m. will be the Mass, but then again, when you move on to the celebration of life and what is going on throughout the afternoon and evening hours, yes, you'll want to be quite aware of what's going on. And so the temperature of the day, that we don't want that to sneak up on you folks, and so be prepared for that. We are going to continue to talk about the life and legacy of the late Congressman Raúl Grijalva. You look no further than the way he presented himself. He was an embodiment of Southern Arizona, of Tucson. We're a stone's throw from the Barrio Viejo. That was effectively what Raúl Grijalva represented. But think about that, from Tucson over to Yuma, up to the Valley. He represented so many. We're trying to cover a lot of those topics, from education to the environment, all of what meant a lot to the congressman throughout the morning here on GMT. Claire, we'll toss it back to the studio right now as we kind of, again, frame the things that were the most important to the congressman, and those from around the country come here to Tucson to remember him this morning.
Absolutely. A life worth remembering. Absolutely, Dan. Thank you.